Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here. Hope you're having a great day. Hope this video can make it a little bit better for you. Today we're going to be trying to give you some strategies to try to farm through the game as fast as possible. And this is going to be tailored towards farming like your daily wins as well as if you ever need to get your daily adventure wins. So this won't really be touching like weeklies, weekly nightmares, or the monthly challenges necessarily. But this is just for your daily wins. If you ever need to clear a adventure, get a lot of adventure wins, such as the quest we recently had of win like 1,000 adventures. These are just some strategies to help you get through that as fast as possible. Now we're going to be showing you a couple different champions that have really good like turn one builds, so you can just get in, win a battle, and just move on very quickly. And then we'll also be showing you some adventures you can try to clear very fast as well. Now first we're going to start off with some champions that are just good for clearing out some adventures, and we're going to start with just champions that are 3 stars with some rare relic only builds, and we will get some higher level champions and some epic builds as well. But for this one, we want to be very approachable so that this should be able to help everyone. So up first, we have Annie. Annie is a good turn one champion, and especially for some of these easier adventures, you can go for a build like this where you just absolutely put out a ton of damage and wreck the enemy board. So for Annie, if you can, go for your double Dreadway Chase Guns and then a Luden's Tempest. If you don't have double Dreadway, try to do a single Dreadway and then double Ludens. And if you can't do this, it also wouldn't be bad to throw on maybe a Gale Force if you had it to try to get 2 attacks in. But for a lot of these easier adventures, again, we're not trying to take this into high level challenges. We're just trying to take this into easy adventures. We drop Annie, nuke the Nexus. In these lower level adventures, they normally start with like 10 to 15 health and kind of max out at 20 or 25. And so normally Annie, you can just drop her and immediately one-shot the Nexus with all these chase guns. Again, the way this works, you drop Annie, she makes these double chase guns, so each one of these is summoning 2, so you're getting 4 of these warning shots. These warning shots normally just deal 1 to the enemy Nexus, but you're making 4 of them, so it's 4 damage right there. But then Ludens is increasing all that, so then it's 5 damage for each of them. But then from Annie's 3rd star power, all your spells and skills deal 2 extra damage. So now each one of these is doing 4 damage, and it's going off 4 times. So immediately you're doing just 16 damage, which for most of these encounters, especially at the start, that's going to be more health than they have. A lot of them just have 10 or 15. And then it's also buffing up Annie's attack, do more damage as well. And again, in a lot of these early challenges, you're able to play something the enemy doesn't get any starting mana to start off. And so you can just immediately attack and do extra damage right there. But normally these chase guns is more than enough to just kill the enemy. So this is a good turn 1 build on just a 3-star champion using only rare relics that work out very, very well. Now, while we're talking about Annie, we're also going to bring up one of the best adventures that you can use to farm wins. So if we grab Annie here, and if you click on this little book icon down here, you can see Annie's one of the champions that has a personalized campaign. Her first adventure right here, it's a 0-star. You can clear this incredibly quickly. Now there's only 4 battles in this entire adventure. So I don't normally use this to farm my daily wins because you need 5 wins and 5 battles in order to get that. And so I don't want to clear through the entire adventure and then have to start it again. But for clearing adventure wins, if that is what you need, this is one of the best. You go on with that turn 1 Annie build, you go here and you can end this incredibly quickly. If we take a look, I've been able to clear this in 41 seconds. Now, that's not taking all the time of traveling through the different adventures, but that's the in-game time while you're doing your battles. And so able to clear this one in 41 seconds. I'm sure people will be able to do this even faster, but if you want to clear adventures as fast as possible, this is one of the best to do. Moving on then, let's take a look at Jax, another 3-star champion that we're just going to be utilizing with a rare relic only build to try to end adventures as quick as possible. So we're going to be going for Gale Force, giving us that scout, so Jack can attack twice. We're also going for Crown Guard Inheritance. Normally with these double attacks, you can level up your Jax, then you get a 3rd attack in. And then the Warhammer is just giving us some extra damage and trying to make sure we have enough power to trigger that rally. With this, you can get a ton of damage. When you're looking for upgrades, you're just trying to do anything that can help your turn 1 damage. If you start out, you don't get the attack token. Unlike the Annie build, you do actually have to wait to get the attack token. With Annie, you can just drop her and absolutely nuke right away with all of those damaging effects. With Jax, he needs to attack. So especially with this build, if turn 1 you don't get the attack token, just try to develop, drop any of your other 1 or 2 cost units. And the next round, drop your Jax, get your scout attack off, attack with your full board, whatever you have. And normally this here is able to do enough damage that you can end with your first attack turn with Jax, and it is very, very good. And again, this isn't necessarily going to work in higher level challenges where they have higher Nexus health, but for these low level challenges we're trying to take them into, this is normally more than enough to end turn 1. Now, for the adventure I normally personally use to get my daily wins in, I go over here for the Garen 1-star adventure. This has over 5 fights in it, So you can clear a bit over halfway. The mini boss is Ash. One fight after that, you'll have your 5 adventures. So you either can stop right there and reset the next day, or you finish up the last couple and then redo the adventure. But Garen's normally the one that I like to go to for my daily wins. You can get through this very quickly. And as you can see here, fastest time, I've been able to clear this one in 55 seconds. So not as quite as fast as the Annie adventure, but the Annie adventure was only 4 fights, and we did that in 141. I think this one is 8 fights, maybe 7, and able to clear it in 55 seconds. Pretty good. There is another adventure. The Teemo one is a 0-star, but similar to the Annie one, it's not long enough to get your full daily wins in. I think this one also only has like 4 fights in it, and so you'd have to start this one multiple times to get your daily wins in. Now, another early turn 1 build you can go for is Jinx. Now, right here, we do have her at 6 stars, and she's fully kitted out, but this will work even if you have your Jinx just at 3 stars. So you can try to go for a build like this. With the double Scourge's stash, what you can do is just play your 1-cost burst speed spell that gets Farsight on it. So you can play that for 1 mana. With this double Scourge's stash, Jinx is then 0 mana. You drop the Loose Cannon's payload. She discards her entire hand, damage the enemy nexus, make some of her rockets, and that's normally going to be enough damage to end, but if not, normally in your next attack, you can then just end the game. So another very strong build. Everyone has Jinx, and so even with her at just 3 stars without getting any of the upgrades for the Constellation, this is able to do quite a bit of damage for you. Next up then, let's take a look at Nidalee. Now, for a lot of the builds we've showcased, they've more been tuned for very low level adventures. This is actually a build that can actually one-shot even high level adventures. It's pretty crazy. But Nidalee, another just 3-star champion. So what you want to do is go for Transmogulator, Spectral Scissors, and the Lost Chapter. It only really works with 3-star Nidalee because when she transforms, you're able to make another copy, ephemeral copy of her. So you're getting 2 units that then both have this build working for them. So use 1 Nidalee to transform the other one with the Transmogulator first, and then the Spectral Scissors to copy it, and then that version also copies the next card. And Nidalee being a 4-cost, the other copy of Nidalee then turns into a 7-cost, and then that 7-cost Nidalee transforms another copy into a 10-cost, and so you just end up with immediately a board of massive, scary units that are able to do a ton of damage. And now this build does take a Epic Relic, but if you want just a turn 1 build that's able to do a ton of damage to either clear a low level adventure or even a high level one, this is actually very solid for you. And again, I get this isn't quite as approachable as you do need to have a Epic Relic, but that's why we put some of those rare relic builds first. And then finally, let's go with the champion I personally use. This is going to be the least relatable because it does take you to have 6-star Gwen, but it is pretty hilarious how it works. So in her constellation with her 6-star, game start, you summon 4 Ghastly Bands and Rally. So this is great because when you're doing these low-level adventures, you don't always get to start with the attack token. This just makes sure you always get the attack token. You get these 4 units, but then you still have your 3-star, which is also having a round start summon a Ghastly Band. So at the start of the game, you're summoning these 5 units, you're getting the attack token, and the beautiful thing with this build is you don't play anything. You just immediately attack. So you have big guns increasing the damage to your spells and skills by 1. You pair that with the Shock and Awe when an ally that costs 1 or less attacks deal 1 to the enemy nexus. All 5 of your units attacking, they're all triggering this, doing that 1 damage. The big guns boosting that damage up, or while doubling it by adding 1 extra damage. And then you go for the stack deck. Allies have 1/1 for every 12 cards in your deck past 18 at game start. So you go to a shop, you just buy all the cheapest cards possible. You fill up your deck with as much as you can. This is going to further scale up your units. And every time you start a match, you just immediately attack with everything you have. You don't play any cards, and you'll be able to just end turn 1 every single time. Now again, this is not something that is for higher level adventures. Those, they have higher health, and so while this can work if you get the right upgrades to further increase this damage, it's not going to be as consistent. But for these low level adventures, it's hilarious. You just start the game, attack, and end. So if you happen to have Gwen, kind of like a maxed out account with all this stuff, highly recommend trying this. But I know this is going to be the least relatable since you have a 6-star champion and 3 epic relics, but still it is quite a lot of fun, and that's how I'm able to get some of the crazy times like clearing this adventure over here in 55 seconds, which is a little silly. But I hope this was able to help you out, and I hope these builds, at least especially the first ones, were relatable for everyone watching. I wanted to be able to have different builds for people at the different points in their progression. And now I'm sure there's great farming builds with other champions as well. These are just some of the ones I wanted to highlight. If you have any other farming strategies that you want to post down below to help your fellow players, definitely do that. If this video was able to help you, a like and subscribe is always appreciated, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.